Hello, it's Vic Noble here again, folks, with another video for you. This time on using pivot points in your trading. Okay, now pivots are another tool you can use to help you in confirming support resistance levels. Okay, and pivots are mathematically derived price levels that are pre-calculated using prior data. I'll show you that in just a minute. They're good numbers to keep an eye on, just like Fibonacci numbers. And like Fibonacci numbers, you want to see, if there's confluences or how price reacts around them. Okay. Now, there's several types of pivots you can use, like there's daily pivots and there's weekly pivots and there's monthly pivots. For day trading purposes, I use daily pivots. I also keep an eye on the weekly pivots. But what you really want to watch out for are price levels where a pivot matches up with other things such as old support resistance price levels or Fibonacci levels, that kind of thing. The idea is to find a confluence of factors all lining up at one price level. Okay. Now, for day trading, you're going to be mostly interested in the daily and weekly pivots, and there are several ways to calculate pivots. Daily pivots use a 24-hour period from one day to the next. And what you do is you note the high and the low and the close during that period, that 24-hour period. And then using a pivot calculator, you plug in the numbers and the calculator spits out the pivots. Most charting software calculates the pivots automatically, so you shouldn't have to calculate them by hand. Now, some people use pivots that are calculated using the 24-hour period from midnight to midnight, GMT. Others prefer the pivots that are from midnight to midnight Eastern Time. And still other people use the pivots that are calculated from 5 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Okay, now I'm telling you about these ones because they're the most common. But here's the deal. Whatever 24-hour period you choose to use, that's fine. Don't get hung up on which ones you have. It really doesn't matter too much because the whole idea is to use them to find confluences with other support resistance levels. And in case you're wondering, I mostly use the pivots from 5 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Time, and actually they're usually very close to the GMT ones anyway. Okay, so again, don't worry too much about which ones you're using. Now, let's have a look at the pivots on a chart here, and I've marked them off here. And you can see these colored lines are the pivot points, and the way we get them, like I've marked off 1700, that's 5 p.m. Eastern Time, to 1700 Eastern Time. These pivots came from the 24-hour period prior, okay, the day prior, from 1700 to 1700. Okay, and they're only good until 1700 this day, and now we have to use this data to calculate the pivots for the following day. Hope that's clear as mud. But I've marked them off. Now, this is the central pivot point, that's CPP. This is what we call the M3. This is the R1 and the M4. And then below it, we have the M2, the S1. And below here, there would be an M1 and an S2, but I didn't mark them. The M levels are just midpoints between the central pivot and the R1. That's the midpoint. And they're actually quite effective as well. Again, what you want to do is see where a pivot matches up with a price level that you're interested in trading at. Okay. In this case, actually, it was quite interesting on this day here. There's a few things that were going on. This was a Fibonacci number from this low to this high, right to here. So if you're looking at buying a dip in an uptrend, that's a great spot to do it right there. This level right here, this M4 pivot, if I had a higher time frame, you'd see that it was actually a really, really good resistance level on a 4-hour chart. A 4-hour chart had been in a big downtrend on this pair, and the 38% retracement came to a support resistance level right here at 2750. So this day it happened to hit up there, and you had an M4 pivot that day right at that same level. So they're very, very much worth watching. And like I say, when you put them on your charts, and you'll see how they all match together when they line up with Fibonacci numbers and with support resistance levels, they can be very powerful. Okay. So I'll leave it at that. That's the basics on pivots. Not a lot to them. Again, it's just another thing that you want to see line up with other factors. And sometimes you're not going to have that lining. It's just not going to line up all the time. Okay. Don't get hung up on that. Don't get so stressed about that it bothers you for some reason, because it doesn't always happen. But where it does line up, you have great opportunity. One of the real places that you want to get to in your trading is called patience. And if you can be very, very patient and wait for these things to set up and line up where you want them to, you're going to be well rewarded for it. So use these in your trading. Hope they help you. And really good. I hope to talk to you guys again soon. Take care.